Namaste and welcome back to the HTML class. The last discussion was all about forms in HTML, right? What you understood through forms is whenever via a browser you're accessing a web application, if you want to give input to the browser collects the input using HTML forms. And the form bundles up all the information or input that you give it and sends it to the server in the form of a query string. This is what you had realized as well. The server further processes it and sends back a response. Now, what I want you to understand is when we speak about forms, a form can take variety of input from the user. As you can see, all these types of inputs it can take. Now, the boring way is for me to show you how to take input individually for each of this. But HTML must always be learned in a very practical oriented way. The best way to understand a form is by directly nosediving and start creating a form. Now, which is the form we are going to create? Let me show you. As you can see, this is the form we will be creating. A course registration form. Think of it this way. At Tap Academy, you are registering for courses. Now, through my website, through my web application, want to collect your details. Naturally, I will be making use of a form, right? And as you can see, there are two sections to this form. One is called as the personal detail section, other is called as the course detail section, right? How are we going to create a form like this? I will show you, and this video, this class, if you understand it completely, then let me tell you, forms is going to be a piece of cake for you. Anyways, I'll just increase the size a little bit. Let's start with the personal detail section. First, I'm asking for the first name. There is a box for me to enter my name, and clearly you can see there is also a suggestion. It is saying, for example, Rohit. That's how the first name should be. So what I'm going to do is I'll just go there, type Rohit. Clearly you can see this is text type input. So form is capable of taking text type input as well. Below that, I'm telling surname. There also there is an example like Ravinder. Fine. Again text type input. Ravinder I will tell. Any confusion? Next is mobile number. If you look at it, there is also a suggestion. 3 digits hyphen, 3 digits hyphen, 4 digits, like that. Fine, I'll enter my mobile number. And this is not my real mobile number, please don't try calling me. Any which way, as you can see, this is also input, but what type of input? Some of you could say number, but it is more specific than a number because it's not just any number, it's a telephone number, right? Anyways, next email it is asking me. There's a suggestion, example like this. Anyways, I will enter my email rohit@tapacademy.com. Any confusion? After which, next is password. Now, what type of input is password? And there it's also telling it should be minimum 5 characters, right? Now, think about it. Now, when I'm entering my password, nobody should be able to see it, right? Now, will that happen here? Let's see. I'll just enter a password. If I enter it, as you can clearly see, if I increase the size a little bit, it is coming in the form of dots. Nobody can read it. Similarly, it's asking me to confirm the password. So, same password, I will re-enter it. And you can see this also is coming as dots, as bullets. So, you will not be able to see what it is. So, what type of input is this? This is password type input, right? Next, it is asking me the date of birth. And if you look at it carefully, there is an option for me to select the date of birth. If I select that, like this, I can select the month, I can select the day, I can also select the year like this, and after which 10/4/1992, if I tell like this is my date of birth. As you can see, I'm just selecting it. Any confusion till here? Wonderful. Next is asking me gender, and if you see, these are like buttons. I can either select male or female or custom. Now, these are technically called as radio buttons. What are they called as? Radio buttons. Now, by nature, tell me, either a person can be a male or a female, or maybe in today's modern world, there are many other mixes and matches in between these two. There's a wide spectrum of genders that people identify with. So, there is another option called as custom. But it can only be one of them. It cannot be all three of them. So, if I select male, if I select female, male gets unselected. If I select custom, it gets unselected. How do we do this, right? Radio buttons, these are called as. Anyway, so I'll tell male. Now, next, select country. Now, there is a drop down. See here, there is a drop down and there are choices. I will select India like this. Great. Next, it's asking me to upload a picture of mine. For that, there is a file picker. See, if I click on choose file, I can go and I can upload a file, whichever that I want, like this. So rohit.jpg, my photo I have uploaded. Then if you notice somewhere here, if you have made mistakes, there is an option for you to reset all the inputs as well. I can just reset it. See, everything goes away. Beautiful, isn't it? Wonderful. Anyways, if I come down, as you can see, there is another section called as course details, like this. Now in the course details section, I'm saying select course. Again, there is a drop down. So there is Java full stack, Python full stack, core Java, core Python. I'll just select maybe Java full stack, like this. Any confusion? Then I'm asking delivery mode. How do you want to learn? Do you want to learn online? Do you want to come to class in an offline mode and learn it? Maybe few people are interested in learning in both, few people are interested in one. Anyways, I can select online, I can select offline, or I can select either one of them. If I unselect online, only offline will also be there, as you can see. Any confusion till there? So anyways, I want to attend in both modes, so I'll select both. Then there is a text area, where if I have any additional comments, anything which you need, right, something from us, there is an area for that also. There I can just tell, when will the new batch start, like this. Beautiful. So, and I can just submit it. Of course, when you submit it, you're just getting thank you for response, and this is the response sent by the backend. And of course, we're not discussing backend coding in this part of it, because this is purely speaking about front end, and in front end HTML. So I hope what is the expectation is crystal clear to you. So let's start one by one. So if I go back to my form, I'll reduce the size a little bit. First, if I scroll on top, I want to start with this scroll on top, course registration form. Now, I want to first start by creating this. This is a simple header, right? So let's create a header. So I will go back to my editor, and in my editor, all I'm going to do is I'll just create a h1 tag. Inside that, I will do course registration form, like this. Course registration form. Any confusion till this point of time? I hope you understood. Now, if I go and I execute this and show you, of course, I've saved this in a file called as index.html. So if I open the tab and I refresh it, yes, course registration form. This part is done. Wonderful. I'll now come back to my expected output. Forget about the section. How to do that, we will see. But if you look at it, there is something called as first name, right? Then next to it, there is a box. If I increase the size a little bit, first name, next to it a box for me to input text. How are we going to do this is the question at the back of your mind. Let me show you. I'll go back. Now, first of all, I want text. Now, one way to do that is I'll come to the next line, and there I will put a p tag. Simple paragraph tag. There I will do first name. Any confusion till here? Now, I want a box next to it, an input box, inside which I can put text. Now, how will you do that? Very simple. Just tell input like this. That's all. That is the tag I will use. And in the input tag, it's asking me what is the type of input you want. I want a simple text input, so I will tell text. Next, it is asking me, okay, whatever input is put, if when I'm sending it to the server, what should be the name attached with this input? And that's very simple. Give it a logical name. I'll call it as FN, right? Capital N. Now, if I do this much, what will the output look like? Let me go and show you. If in case I just refresh it, you can see I've got first name, and then I've got the box below it, like this. Now, if I go to my expected output, you can notice first name and the box are next to each other. They're not one below the other, right? Now, why did we get like this? Simple. That is because one is a block element, other is an inline element. Watch it. If I go back to the expected input, I go to my developer tools. Then if I just inspect first name, you can notice if I inspect first name is a block element. Entire width of the screen, and automatically a line break is crossed. But if I inspect my input box, this is an inline element. Only as much space as required, no line break is crossed. So now, whenever you want first name to come next to the box, whatever you tell as first name should not be a block element. That also should be an inline element. How will we do that? If you ask me, very simple. If I go back to my editor, my friends, please understand, you must now be introduced to another tag called as the label tag. If you recollect when you were young, when in all our notebooks, at least here in India, we used to have something called as labels stuck on our books, right? Wherein we had different fields like name, the class, the section, the school, etc. Now, name followed by a bar where a line where you could enter your name, section followed by section, class by class, right? I want something like that. That's only called as a label. Same thing is available in HTML. So what I will do is I will cut that first name inside p tag. I'll remove the p tag completely and I will replace that with a label tag like this. Inside that I will put first name. Any confusion? Now let us go and see whether this solves our problem. So if in case I go back to my output window and if in case I just refresh this code, you can see the difference in the output. So watch it. If I refresh it like this, it has come the same thing, right? Any confusion till this point of time? Wonderful. Now first name we have got. What else, you might ask? What else means? Great. Now let us go, and if you look at the expected output, there after that surname is also there. Now I know some of you are thinking, how is this here the indentation is better, there it doesn't. All that I will tell you how to do. But first let's create the general structure of things. If I go back, now I'll go back to my editor. In my editor, what I will do is simple. You need surname, that is also a text box. I'll just copy this line and paste it again. The label changes to surname. Okay. Next, this is type is text, right? But the name, it should not be FN. That is our first name. This is last name, so LN I will call it as. Any confusion? Let me execute and see if in case it works. So if I go back to my output window and if in case I refresh, you can notice I've got it like this. Now why? Common sense. Label is nothing but a inline element. Inline elements do not automatically cause a line break, which means if you have multiple inline elements, they are placed one next to the other. But at this point, you want a break to happen. You must force it. How will you force it? Let me show you. If I go back to my editor, you have to make use of a tag which can cause a line break for you, which is nothing but the BR tag. Where will you place the BR tag? See, after this, I want a break to happen. So BR tag I will put. And BR is actually nothing but a self-closing tag, so you don't have to put any closing for it. If I do this, will it work? If I go back to my editor and if in case I refresh it, there you go. Now I know, if you go to the expected output, you can see there is clear alignment and all that. How to do it, I will show you. But anyways, here there is no alignment, you can easily fix it. Surname has also come. This is also text box. Next, if I go to my expected output, you can notice the next one is a mobile number, right? This is the label, this is the box. How are we going to create? Let me show you. If I go back to my editor, there I will now just be in the next line. Here also think about it. Shouldn't a line break come? So let's put PR. Now in the next line, first a label called as mobile number. So I'll tell label inside that mobile number like this. Next, after that, a box should come. So tell it. Wonderful. Now what should be the type? Now don't tell number because yes, number is also there. But this is a specific type of number which is telephone number. And there is something called as telephone number input here. What is the type? Tell, like this I will tell. Any confusion till here? Now you want to give a name for it. Maybe I will call it as MOB. Short for mobile number. Any confusion till this point of time? Wonderful. Now let me go and re-execute it and show you whether it works. If I go here and re-execute it, you can notice this has come. But if you notice something, if I go back to my expected output, inside each of this box, there was almost like a transparent text giving me suggestions as to what I should enter in first name, how the first name should be, how the surname should be, how the mobile number should be. Now, what are these if you ask me? This effect if you want, you must give additional input or additional information to your input tag. Then your input tag will do this for you. How to do that if you ask me? That's why attributes exist. If I go back to my editor, then please understand like this, you have to now use an attribute called as the placeholder attribute. That is the placeholder which you are seeing. So what I will do is Inside the input tag, first input tag, I'll leave a space and I will tell placeholder. And then it's asking what should be the placeholder. I'll tell ex example colon Rohit like this. Next, the placeholder for the surname should be example Ravinder like this. After that, next for mobile number, the placeholder should be like this. So I will tell something 3 digits hyphen 3 digits hyphen 4 digits like this. Any confusion till this point of time? If in case I go back now and if in case I refresh this code, what will it look like? Let me show you. If I refresh it, there you can see. Any confusion till this point of time? So, my dear friend, I hope how we are slowly improving the form you're able to see. Wonderful. Next, what you can ask. See, next thing is, if you notice here, I want all of these boxes to be of the same size. Only then, if you go to my expected output, you can notice, only then, see, everything is of the same size. Do you notice? Everything is of the same size. Is there a way to control the size of the box? Yes, there is an attribute for that also. Which is the attribute, if you ask me? If I go back to my editor, please understand the attribute which you should be using is called as the size attribute. So I will just go and tell the size should be 15. 15 means 15 characters you should be able to enter. Size is 15. Similarly, I'll copy that, paste it in all the other 2 places as well. Size 15, and size 15. Great. If I go back and if in case I refresh it, then you can notice now, of course, because of the alignment issues you're not seeing, but all of them now are of the same size. Any confusion till this point of time? Till here, you've been able to understand. Now, I want to show you how you can change the nature of a box by giving more information to the tag, more attributes to the tag. For example, I want the maximum length of the first name to be 10 characters. I know practically it makes no sense because people can have more than 10 character long first names and stuff like that. But just to show you, is that possible? Definitely. How? There is an attribute called as the max length attribute. So if I go back to my editor, I will now use the max length attribute. So I'll just go there and I will tell max length equal to, and there I will put the maximum length as 10 like this. Now, to prove to you, if I go back, I will just go there and I will just tell A, B, C, D like this. If I just try to type more than 10 characters, you can notice it does not allow. I'm trying to, but it will not allow. It has capped it to 10. All this is possible. Anyways, I'll just remove that. Any confusion? Wonderful. Now, okay, mobile number is done. If I go back to my expected output, next is email. Can we do that? Yes, this is a label, this is an input, but the type should be email. Do you have a type called as email? Certainly. So watch it, I'll just go back and there I will just go and put one label in the next line. And of course, I want a line break to happen. So first we will tell BR because all these are inline elements. If there is no BR, they would all been on the same line. Next, I will come there. Label is email. After which input type is going to be my email like this. Name I will tell, which is I will call it as mail like this. So right, mail equal to whatever you enter will be sent to the server. I hope you're able to think. Wonderful. Till here things are clear. If I go and I try to execute this and show you, and wait, before I execute, I'll go back to my editor. All these boxes size are 50. Let's maintain the standard. Here also I'll make the size as 50. Wonderful. Now, I will put a BR tag here so that it goes to the next line as well. So I'll just tell BR. But before that, I've given placeholders for all of these guys. Let me also give a placeholder for email. So I'll just go there and I will tell placeholder. And there I will just put example rohit@tapacademy.com like this. Any confusion? Wonderful. Now, I will come to the next line. I'll give the label. The label happens to be password. After which input I will tell. And then in input type is going to be password. There is something called as password type. So that it comes as those bullets, right? Name I'll call it as PWD, short for password. Wonderful. Now this much happens. I also want a placeholder there suggesting them how the password has to be. See, I want the password to be minimum 5 characters. So I'll just put a placeholder there and I will tell minimum 5 characters. Okay. Now let us see how this looks like. If in case I go back and if in case I just refresh this, you can notice this is how it looks. So there's a placeholder here. This is the password thing. Also, if I enter some password, it will come as bullets. Any confusion? Wonderful. Now below that you must have a confirm password as well, right? So what I will do is I will go back to my editor. All I'm going to do is copy this line entirely and I'm going to paste it again. And there I will make that as confirm password. And after which I'm going to now go and the placeholder also remains the same. Everything remains the same. But here the name I will change it as CWPD because it is confirm password. We cannot have the same name. It makes no sense. Wonderful. Now if I go back and also I'll put a BR tag there because anyways we need a line break. So I will just put BR. And here also I will put BR after that and keep it ready. Okay. If I go execute this, then clearly you can see that we would have got another box called as confirm password like this. Okay. Now if I go to the expected output, till here we have finished. Now it is date of birth, DOB. And here we have to give an input where he can select the date of birth. How are we going to do this? Let me show you. If I just go back to my editor, all I will do is first I will put a label called as DOB. And there like this, I will just tell DOB. And then after that, I'll just put an input tag. And there type, I will call it as date. That's enough. It will automatically give you the date picker. Name, I'll call it as DOB. Any confusion? I'll also put a BR tag because anyways we know line break must happen. Here there is no placeholder as such. So if in case I go back and if in case I refresh it, you can notice clearly it works. If I go to the expected output, date of birth is also done. Next is gender. So this is the label. After the label, 3 radio buttons should be there. Male, female, custom. Ultimately only one value you will pick and that is going to be the gender value which will be sent to the server. How are we going to design this? If in case I go back, now in the next line, I will just first put my label which is gender. And then I will go and put my input tag. Now the type is going to be radio like this. After which name I will give it as, I'll call it as gender because that is the name of that thing, right? Now if I do this much, how does it look like? Let's see. If I go back and there, if in case I just refresh, yes, gender has come and one button. I can select it, select that. As you can see, you can select it, but what is being selected, the user doesn't know. So next to that, another label should be there. Would you agree with me? So we can do that. If I go back, please understand, either you can tell label or even if you don't tell label, if I just tell male like this, this will also work because HTML will automatically treat this as label. Any confusion to that? Or really you might ask? Definitely. I'll just go back and show you. If I refresh it, male. And to prove to you that this is an inline element, I'll just inspect that male. So watch it. I'll just inspect only that male part and you can notice here. It is anyways not taking it to the next line. It comes as text. Any confusion till this point of time? Next. If I go back to the editor. Now what I want you to understand is that I will now, same thing has to repeat. One more button, female. One more button followed by custom. So I will just copy this input completely. Copy this input completely and I will paste that again next to it itself. And there I will change it as female. Now here some of you will argue, name here is gender, change this you might argue. No. You must understand, ultimately is going to select only one thing, right? And that is name is gender only. Value whatever we send. Now you might be thinking, okay, fine. If I click on that button, what will be the value sent? Will this male be sent? or will this female be sent? Similarly, I'll just paste it again and put that custom also, and I will make that as custom. Now you must understand, please go back. If I go back and if I refresh it, this way I will get the output, no doubt about it. But you must understand, if I select female, don't think female will be sent. This is just text. If I click on custom, don't think custom will be sent. That is just text. Whenever you use radio buttons, it is your responsibility to also tell HTML what should be the value sent upon selecting this radio button. How can I define the value, you might ask? Because for none of this you define the value. Value was defined by the user, but here you should define the value. How to do that? Let me show you. If in case I go back to my editor, very simple, you have to use another attribute called as the value attribute. So I will just go here and I will put value. Now, if he selects this radio button, what should be the value? Male, isn't it? Capital ML10. If he selects this radio button, name is gender only, but what should be the value? Female, capital F have it. Similarly, last one, I will make it as capital C. Do you understand how value comes into the picture? Next, what you might ask? This much we have done. Of course, after custom, a break should happen, so I'll put BR attack. Wonderful. Now, if in case I go back to my browser window, if I refresh it, you will not find anything new here. When you press submit, the value which will be sent to the user is what changes. However, ignore that. If in case I go to my expected output, after that there is something called a select country and there is a drop down. There are options of countries that I can select. Of course, I have given 3 countries, India, USA and China, but you can have as many options as you want. So, what I am now going to do is, I will be going back to my editor, and in my editor, how do you create a drop-down input in HTML? Simple. There are a few tags you must keep in mind. The first tag that you must keep in mind is a tag called as the select tag, because you're selecting options from the drop-down. So I will just go put select tag like this. Select. Any confusion? Next, inside select, you must tell what are the options that one will be selecting. For that, there is another tag called as the option tag. So watch it, option I will tell. First option is India. Capital all caps I will make it as. Second option is USA. So I will just tell USA like this. Next option is China. So I will tell China like this. If I have missed out your country, please do not feel bad. I am just giving you an example. Now, you must understand, if I go but before that, think about it. These are the options, but don't you think a label also should be there? So before select, I will also place a label. Press enter and do it, because anyways these are inline elements. It doesn't matter whether you write it one next to the other or one below the other. There I will tell select country like this. Any confusion? Now let's see what happens. If in case I go back, then if I refresh, there you go. If I select the drop down, you can notice there are options. But think about it. If I select USA, for example, now you have selected USA, but that USA is just text. What is the value being sent to the server? That you have not defined, which means much like your radio button, it is your responsibility to define the value here as well. So if I go back in my options, I will tell, hey, if somebody selects this, the value should be India like this. Similarly, for USA, I will tell value is USA. And then for the next one, I will tell value is China. Now, correct. These are the values. Anyways, only one of these you will select. But value alone, if it is sent to the server, makes no sense to the server. You must also attach a name with it. Now, where will I attach the name? Simple. Don't attach a name inside any option. Attach it directly inside select, because you're selecting options. In that, if you select an option, what is the name? That is a country, isn't it? So there I will just go inside select and tell name equal to country. Any confusion till this point of time? Wonderful. After this select closing tag, I'll put a BR. I hope till here things are crystal clear to each and every one of you. Of course, nothing much will change in the output as such. These are internal things which will only reflect in the server. But if I go back to my expected output, you can notice like this, if I go to the expected output, till here we are finished. Last thing left out in this section of personal details is for you to select a photo. Photo is essentially a file, which means you need a file browser to open where you can go browse for the file that you want from your desktop, laptop, your phone, your tablet, it doesn't matter, and upload it, right? So this choose file option should come. Now, how are you going to do that? That's very simple. Label is clear. There's also an input, but the input type is file. Let's go do that. If I go back and if in case I just come to the next line and I will tell input, then there I will tell type equal to and I'll tell file. And name I will call it as maybe pic like this. That's it. Label is missing. I will attach that as well. Upload picture. Great. Will this work? Is the bigger question. Definitely it will. I'll anyways put a BR tag there because we know line break must happen within angular brackets. Now, if in case I go back and I refresh the code, you can notice like this, you've got upload picture, choose file, and automatically it is telling no file chosen. But if you click on choose file, definitely the window opens up. You can go select the file. In this case, I'll just select rose.jpg like this. Wonderful. Next, if I go to the expected output, I must have something called as a reset button. This is very straightforward. All I will do is I'll go to my editor and there I'm going to put a line break. BR is anyways there. The next line I will come and there I'll directly tell input. Label is not required. I'll directly tell input. And there I will tell, hey, the type should be reset. That's it. If you tell reset, a reset button is created. And name is again optional here because you're not going to send any value. You're resetting the inputs on the form. So name is not required. I'll remove that. Any confusion till here? If I do this, will it work? Let's go. All right, let's go execute. If in case I go there, reset button is ready, I'll just go type a name, right? Now, if in case I go and click on reset, nothing happens. Why nothing happens if you ask me? That is because you must understand, right now, the browser is not treating these elements as a form. Yes, you heard me right. It is not treating this as a form. But you might say, this is a form. No, this is not a form because you did not inform the browser that this is a form. What do you mean, Rohit? You might ask. Let me take you back to my code. If in case you had focused in the previous class, you would have realized that for HTML to treat all of this as a form, first and foremost, you must inform HTML, inform the browser that it is a form. Tell me, have you enclosed all of this inside the form tag? You have not. Then why do you have such expectations? So, it's very important that you must and should use the form tag. Don't forget, I purposefully missed out on using the form so that you keep this thing at the back of your mind. So now I will go and enclose all of this within the form tag like this. So I'll just put it within the form tag. I'll also indent it correctly so that you understand what is inside. Everything I will indent. This select options also I will indent it. Great. One more input. Any confusion till here? Now this is a form. Now HTML will treat it as a form. So watch it if I go back to my browser window. If in case now I go and type Rohit like this. And if in case I click on reset, it has reset it. Because now this is a form. Form actions will happen. Any confusion to this point of time? Wonderful. Next, what you might ask? Let me go to my expected output. If you go to my expected output and if I reduce the size a little bit, clearly you can notice that till here we have done. Now, all of this is part of one section of the form called as personal details. Now, how to do this, Rohit, if you ask me, please understand, this section is technically called as a field set. This name for the section is technically called as a legend. Didn't understand? Let me show you. If I go back to my editor, what you must understand is, I want all this in part of my form, this part of the form. See, this is opening tag, closing tag. This part of the form should belong to a section. If you want to create a section like that, you must use a tag called as the field set tag. And the name of the field set can be further put by using a tag called as a legend tag. So what I'll do is, I'll cut from label till this input. I will cut it. I will put a tag called as field set like this. Inside the field set, I need the name. For that, I'll use a tab called as legend like this. There I will put the name personal details like this. Personal details. Any confusion till here? After which, now I'll come press enter, and inside the field set, I'll paste whatever I've cut. Further, I will just indent it right so that it is visible. All this I will indent it. Any confusion till this point of time? Now, my friend, let us see whether these changes are reflected or not. If in case I go to my browser window and if in case I refresh it, clearly you can see this part is now put into a section. This is only your field set and this is only your legend, personal details. Any confusion till this point of time? Wonderful. Now, if I go to my expected output, obviously all this indentation part I will teach you how to do it. But there's another field set called as course details. Inside that, there are a few more fields, and the first thing is something called as select course, and there is a drop down. This is very easy for us to do, everything you know by now. So watch it very quickly. If I go back to my code, I am going to be adding another field set. So I'll scroll down completely, and after that last field set, I'll press enter. Then inside the same form, you're creating another field set like this. Inside that, what I'm going to do is add a legend. Name is course details. Right. After legend, I will press enter. Now inside this, I will have to create the first input. So label I will put. And the label is course details or select course. I'll remove an extra O. Any confusion till here? So select course label will come. After this select course, I want a drop down to come. Now, anyways, all input elements are inline elements. So, whether you write it here or one line below doesn't matter. It will come in the same line. So, I will press enter. After that, I will put select like this. That's how you create drop downs. Select. Inside that, one by one options I will put. So, my first option is I will put as Python full stack. Next, full stack development. Okay, Python full stack I will put. The next option is going to be Java full stack. After which I'll put one more, maybe core Java. And maybe the next one I will put as Python for data science. So make the D also count. Any confusion till this point of time? So this is clear. But again, think about it. Previous also you understood that this every input should have a name. Otherwise, server will get confused. So I'll go to select. Inside that, I'll give the name as course. After which, now one of these only you will select. When you select, what should the value be sent? That is important. So I'll go inside the first option, and there I will tell value is going to be maybe PFS. I will tell. Next, for this, I will tell maybe JFS. Next, I will call it as CJ, value as CJ. And the next one, I'll call it as maybe PDS, Python for data science. See, you can give it whatever you want. Whatever you will use in the backend, accordingly you have to do. Any confusion till this point of time? Now, let's see whether this much works. If I go back, and if in case I refresh, clearly you can notice that you've got course details, select course, and there is a drop down. Now, if I go to the expected output, you can notice after that there is also something called as delivery mode, and these, if I increase the size, they are called as check boxes. Little bit more if I increase, these are called as check boxes, right? You can check the box. See that? Any confusion till here? How do we create this? Simple. The label is delivery mode and these are check boxes. How to do this? Easy. If I go back, then you can notice like this, I will just come after that select and I will press enter, and there I will put a label first. After the label, what I'm going to do is, in the label I will just put the name as whatever, delivery mode, like this. After which, soon after the label, there has to be 2 checkboxes. So I'll come and I'll tell, next line itself you can tell, because anyways these are inline elements. So input I will tell. And then after that, type is checkbox. Name I will give it as, maybe the name I'm going to give it as is maybe mode, like this I will call it as. Mode 1 I will call it as. Why am I calling it as mode 1? Simple, because here you must understand there are 2 modes. It can be online, it can be offline, it can be both also. So that's why I'm giving this. Anyways, next what I want is a text there, right? So I will tell online. Now, if someone checks online, what is the value that should be sent? Yes, name is going to be mode 1. Value has to be online. So I'll just go value, and there I'll just put ON like this, short for online. After this, in the next line, whether you tell in the same line or next line doesn't matter, because after all, they're all inline elements. I'll again tell input, type equal to checkbox, name is mode 2, and the value is going to be maybe OF or OFF, offline, I will tell. And the text is going to be offline. So let us tell offline. Any confusion till this point of time? Great. Now, will this work is the bigger question. Let us go check it out. But if in case I refresh it, clearly you can see it has come in the same line, because we have not put a line break. But delivery mode, online, offline, all that works. Anyways, if in case I go and just put a line break, this will sort the issue. So I'll just go put a BR after select. Any confusion till here? Great. Now if I go back, and if in case I refresh, clearly it works. Now if I go to the expected output, you can notice here the last thing is something called as comments, and there is a text area. But clearly you can see here comments is there. After that, in the next line they should come, not on the same line. So here a line break is required. So think and answer, will you use label for comments, or will you use a block element like p tag? If you have been focusing, all of you know it is the block element which you have to use, which is the simplest way to do it, or else you'll have to unnecessarily put a BR tag. Both ways work. Anyways, if I go back, what I will do is, I will just go, maybe we will use label itself for standardization. So after I will press enter, I'll tell label is comments. I'll put a BR so that line break happens. Not only here should a line break happen, even after this offline line break should happen. So I'll put a BR there also. Wonderful. Now, in the next line, I want to create that text area. If you want to create a text area, you must not use the input tag. Yes, I know it is input, but there is a tag specially made for text area, and it's called as the text area tag. Let us use that. So I will just tell text area like this. Nothing you have to tell in between. Now, if in case I execute this, what does it look like? Let us check that out. So watch it all. If in case I go to my browser window, and if in case I just refresh this code, clearly you can see like this, we have got a text area. Now I'll increase the size a little bit. If I scroll down, this is the text area, but it's too small. Maybe you want it to be bigger in size. How will you make it bigger in size? Very simple, by giving more attributes. If you tell how many rows and how many columns, accordingly its width and height will increase. How? Let me show you. If in case I go there, and within the text area I just tell rows, not inside that, attributes. So I will tell rows equal to, and I will give some rows, maybe 4. Next I will tell, so this is the height. Now the width, how many columns? So like this I'll tell columns, and there I'll tell some 40 like this. If I do this, and if I go back, and if in case I just refresh the code, and if I reduce the size a little bit, you can notice, yes, the area has clearly increased. Now, don't you think in a way we have completed 99% of the form? All that is remaining is, if you go to the expected thing, there is a button called as submit, and it is not just any button. It's actually an image. Yes, this is an image. I have made an image into a button. Can you do that? Can you make an image into a submit button? Definitely you can. How to do this? Let me show you. All you have to do is go back and first of all, if you have to add an image, which tag will you make use of? The image tag, isn't it? So I will just go and outside my field set, but inside the form, I will just put image tag like this. Source it is asking. It is in the same folder that I have a file which contains this, and the name of the file is submit.png, which is an image which I have downloaded from the internet. You can download whichever image you want, right? Now, next what I'm going to do is, there I'm going to give another attribute, and that is going to be height. Okay, that is basically the dimensions that I'm sending. So height I will tell 75, and then width I will tell it is maybe 75 like this, so that it comes in that dimension. But now this will not make it into a clickable submit button. For that, I'm going to add another attribute here, and the name of that attribute is only going to be the type attribute. And in the type attribute, I'm going to tell that type is equal to input like this. I'll remove an extra I. Any confusion? If you do this, now an image becomes an input, becomes a submit button. Really will this work, you might ask? 100%. If in case I go back, there if I just refresh it, as you can see submit has come. But if I click on submit, nothing will happen. Why nothing will happen is, just click there, click on submit, nothing happens because, please go back to the code. In the code, have you told upon clicking submit, scroll on top, what action the form should take? Have you mentioned? No. You must tell action. I will put action. There I will just paste that URL. Now again, what is this URL, etc. It's not something I'm going to discuss, but definitely if you submit, it's going to tell you thank you for your response. That is the response the server will send. Anyways, now please understand, our form is complete. If I go back to my output window, and if in case I just refresh it, you can notice, yes, our form is complete. I'll reduce the size so that the entire form is visible, right? But now, look at the expected output. Clearly, if I reduce the size here also, the difference is how beautifully aligned this is, right? Look at all these boxes, they're aligned together. All of their sizes are the same. Now, first of all, how to get this alignment is a bigger question. Well, it's very easy, my friend. If you use the concept of tables, easily it will work. What do you mean, you might ask? Now, look at this. Visualize it with me. Now, I want you to visualize that as a table, right? Look at that. That is a table. Except for that reset button, visualize it. That is a table. Next, in the table, don't you think each thing is a row? Each input field is a row. Now, visualize there are two columns. Now, don't you think all of those fields or those labels is one column? And don't you think all of the inputs are another column? Which means, if I take a row, in that, if the first table data will be my label and the second table data will be my input, automatically the table will take care of the alignment. Oh, really, you might ask? 100% it will. Let me show you the magic of tables. If I go back to my execution window, what I'm going to do is, first of all, very simple. Understand, from this personal details up until, please come down, this upload picture. Not even, till this upload picture, I require it inside a table. So, let me convert few of them and show you how beautifully the alignment will work. So, what I will do is, I'll go on top. After the field set, I will press enter. First there I will create a table tag. Table. Like this. I'll press enter. Inside that, first one row I will create, tr. Right? Inside that, two table datas are there. So, td twice I will type. Any confusion? Next, what I'm going to do is, this first label, I will cut it. And I will paste it inside the first td. The second, this input, I will cut it. So, no. There has been a mistake. Undo it. We have cut the legend. Cut that legend, put it above the table because legend has to be after field set. Yeah. Now, cut this first table, put it inside td. Next input, you please cut it and place it inside TD. Now, this BR is not required. Why? Because whatever row you have in a table is a block element. Automatically line break will happen. You don't have to force it. Remote. If I do this much, how does it look like? We will see. But before that, let me add one more row and show you so that it is even more visible. So next I'll create one more row, TR. In the two table data, TD, TD. Next what I'm going to do is I'll cut the first label, put it inside TD. I will cut this input except for the BR tag, put it inside the next TD. Any confusion till here? After which I am now going to just remove this. I don't think you have pasted it correctly. No, you have pasted it outside TD. Place it inside TD correctly. Any confusion till this point of time? Great. Next, what you might ask? Let's see how this changes things. If in case I go back and if in case I just refresh it. But as you can see, it did not come properly. Why? Because you have done some mistake in coding. What is a mistake? Let's go check it out. Oh, as you can clearly see, this input element should have been placed inside TD but has been pasted outside TD. Such silly mistakes we have done. Cut it, place it inside TD correctly. Any confusion till here? Now, if in case I go back and if in case I execute this, watch it, if I refresh it, now it works perfectly. Now, do you see how automatically alignment is coming? If I increase the size a little bit, you can clearly notice that surname, though it is shorter in size than first name, where first name ends, there only this box starts. Similarly, for example, let me put mobile number and email also into it and show you. So, if I just go back and after that last TR, I'll first place another row by telling TR, then inside that two TDs, after which I will cut that label, mobile number, paste it inside the first TD. I will cut input and paste it inside the second TD. And if in case I remove this BR because it is not required. Similarly, one more I will create, which is one more table row inside that two TDs. And then what I will do is I'll cut that email, put it inside the first TD, that is the label. And next I will cut this input and paste it inside of it. Cut this input and I will paste it inside that. Any confusion till here? I'll remove that BR, not required. Now, if I do this, then I wanted to understand, watch it. If in case I go back, or let me put one more, that password also I will just put. So I will put TR and two TDs inside that. I will cut the label password, put it inside the first TD. I will cut this input, put it inside the next TD. I'll remove the BR. If I do this, then as you can notice, if in case I go back and if in case I refresh, can you see how beautifully alignment is happening? But here do you notice this box size is more than these box sizes. That's why I ensure that all box sizes are same. That's mean this also has 15, this also has 15. So if in case I go back and there if I just go and here I will make it as size equal to 15 inside password. Any confusion till this point of time? Wonderful. Here also I'll make it as size equal to 50 before I put it inside the table. Wonderful. Now if in case I go back and I refresh it, you can notice like this, it works. Of course, this is not placed inside the table yet. Like this, I would like to put the confirm password and date of birth also inside the same table. I'll in fact put everything inside the table. But before that, just to show you the table, I'll inspect it. So if I right click, open my inspect element, there if I just take the cursor after course details, you can notice that this is a table. Take it correctly, cursor, this is a table. In that you can notice table is a block element. Automatically every row one line break will happen. This is the first column, this is the first TD, this is the second TD. Any confusion there? In fact, I can show you the TD also. Take it to first name. first name. First name is 1 TD, the input is the second TD. In the next row, surname is the first TD, next that is the second TD, so on and so forth. Any confusion? So alignment can easily be achieved using tables. Let me just quickly put everything else inside the table rows and show you the final output. Alright, as you guys can see, everything has been put inside the table. Now, including the reset button. If I come down, as you can see, when reset has been put. But what you must understand about reset is there is only one TD that I've given. Because only the first column, reset should be there. There is nothing after reset. You can leave it empty. That is not a problem. Now, if I go back and I show you the output, you will be surprised to see upon refreshing how beautifully the alignment is. Everything is perfectly aligned. Any confusion till this point of time? So, I hope how to create this form is crystal clear to all of you, and forms are a very important tool. But of course, these forms can be made even more amazing looking if you knew CSS, and very quickly we are going to be starting CSS as well. But I hope forms in HTML is crystal clear to you. Now it's up to you to go and experiment and try the different types of inputs there is. Let your imagination run wild. Just go online, go to any website, pick up a form, try to replicate it, and in doing so you will learn much more than what you can theoretically read or understand. Any confusion till this point of time? Wonderful. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.